You know, we've all got blind spots. I do. But why BS? Why BS your business, your career, your family? And why BS your life? It starts with asking the question. But it's really about living it. And that is what this podcast is all about. This is Why BS, your blind spot with Tanner Gears.
Teltic is the only small business and entrepreneur-focused cell phone provider. With unlimited talk, text, mobile hotspots, and video streaming plans starting at just $20 per month, plus their US-based 24/7 customer support, you can't go wrong. That's Teltic.com, Teltik.com. Right now, use Tanner at checkout and save even more every single month. Teltic. That's smart business.
I do know now what some of my blind spots were over the years, and there's been different ones, and I still have some.
Yeah.
So, there are different ones that I had when I was 16 to when I was 20 and 25 and every age since. And it's just always a self-discovery. So your whole self-help base for entrepreneurs is, I think it'll be very, very fitting because I just, took as many steps forward as I could, starting with not a lot of great background to start from, and still became very, very successful. So I just think my story kind of relates to a lot of people who you don't know what you're going to do when you get out of high school, and you just kind of keep moving forward till you build that ideal life that you're always working towards.
Well, I don't think we can have a better place to start right here, because I was telling you before I started recording, Edna, and thanks so much again for coming on the show. I was telling you before is that I always find myself in this trap where I'm having, I begin having these conversations with these awesome individuals that I feel so blessed to have connected with, and to share with everyone, that we have these awesome conversations, and then it's like, oh shit, like we should have probably, how do we incorporate that? So I kind of, I like to build this rapport early on, and I think that it really opens up the door, for the conversations that follow. So thanks for jumping right into this.
Yes, you're welcome. Anytime, Tanner.
Oh my gosh. So, we were talking about YBS, your blind spot, before the call, and I was sharing with you my anxieties, my limiting beliefs and doubts, and kind of like, thinking myself into something that's so, more complicated than it really is. We always feel like this situation around us is more important than it ever really is. And I was so surprised. Maybe you were connecting with me, but you shared something about your past that was kind of interesting. And I want to get into that in a little bit. But Edna, please introduce yourself. Tell us what we should know that might even prepare one for the awesomeness you're going to drop.
Okay, sure. Well, my name is Edna Keep. I'm a real estate entrepreneur, author, and now I coach people to buy real estate the way we did, which is primarily using other people's money. And it kind of came about organically because we started investing in real estate 10 years ago, and we've done very, very well. So people were always asking us, well, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? And what do you mean other people's money? And why would people give you money to invest in real estate? And a lot of it is just a foreign concept to people. So yeah, I always kind of say, my claim to fame is that I've been able to buy $47 million worth of real estate with none of my own money. And I love sharing how I did that and showing people how they can build a real estate portfolio and not just help themselves, but help a lot of other people in the process.
Facts. I think real estate is one of those venues, those environments, those platforms where someone with, the right mindset, the right self, I guess I want to say the way, applying themselves to educating and actually just getting out there and hustling, you can do very, very well for yourself, as you have. Now, you've done so well. You say you used to buy property or invest with other people's money. It sounds like you're doing that all on your own now.
No, you know what? I use all my own money for educating myself, getting better, growing, doing different businesses. I still use other people's money today to buy real estate.
Wow, that's how awesome it is. And I when you're describing that, how interested people are, right? I think that when I was before I lost my sight, I was telling you how that happened before the phone call. I wanted to go into real estate. I started taking classes, and then I was 19 years old, and I thought, who the hell's going to buy a $500,000 property from someone who can't buy alcohol?
Yeah, good point. Good point.
And so I pivoted, and shortly thereafter, I decided to go into the military, so let's talk about that other people's money. I travel a little bit, and all the time, right? When I'm in Ubers, because I'll take Uber whenever I'm out and about, and the other day I was in Chicago presenting, and the Uber, I was a couple times in the Uber car. The radio came on. It was like the same guy. I hear the same guy, the same radio message in different cities, bringing people to conferences and talking about creative investing. And the only thing that changes is the city, right? Where it's like, we're looking for investors in Phoenix. We're looking for investors in Chicago, or people who are interested in making money. And I was instantly drawn to the idea of using someone else's money to make money. But I thought, man, this seems a little shady that this is the same message in multiple cities. So, tell us a little bit about using other people's money.
Well, I remember when I got introduced to the concept. I actually used to be a financial advisor, and I sold mutual funds and life insurance for years.
Which is using other people's money.
It is, but in a different way.
Oh, totally, yeah.
People invest in mutual funds,
right?
And I really didn't like all the ups and downs of the market, but I got to understand what investors were looking for when it came to their money, and I was able to move that over into the real estate world, and that's why I think I have a really good niche that way.
Yeah,
but when we started, we were just looking at doing something different. My husband and I were both happy with we were self-employed entrepreneurs, and we're happy with what we were doing. But sometimes our income was, with what was going on in the markets, it was higher or lower and higher and lower.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to add in another income stream that would maybe offset some of that. And then when we got into it and really understood the power of real estate and all the different income sources and the ways to make money with it, 2 years later from the time I was introduced to real estate, I sold my financial planning practice, and I was making $250,000 a year. Some up, some down, but on average, for the last 15 years, with a good portion of that being recurring income that I didn't have to go out and work for again and again. And so when I was introduced to real estate and I seen the power, I knew it was for me. And I sold my practice, got a really good price because nobody was selling back then. Everybody thought I was absolutely crazy. But, I've been able to increase my net worth over $5 million in the 10 years that we've been doing this. And now I'm teaching other people how to do that and how to create that passive income, because most people think they have to work for the man and go to university and get an MBA and different things like that. And two of my favorite students that are working with me right now, and this kind of goes back to your story when you were 19 years old.
Yeah.
You thought you wanted to get into real estate?
Yes.
I have two young guys, students right now. They're partners, best friends. They started with me less than a year ago. They now own 36 units.
Wow.
Purchased with none of their own money. And when the investors are paid back, because that's one of the things I teach is we pay back our investors first, they're already going to be making $5,000 a month in passive income.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Now, No, that was I was thinking that I thought I heard somewhere that $5,000 a month passive income, that was your original goal.
It was. And that's kind of, again, how it came about, because when we took our classes and we started, like I said, we had no intention of quitting what we were doing. And we thought, an extra $5,000 a month would just be sweet. Tenants paying off our properties, all that sort of thing. And so we set a 5-year goal to have 50 doors, because we were taught if each door would cash flow about $100 a month, that you 50 times 100 is your 5,000 a month. And if we could do that, we would have that passive income created. And because we were able to utilize other people's money, we were able to do that in 18 months.
Wow.
So yeah, that's where the 5K comes from, because that was our original goal. And so when I tell people my story, they think, that's a good goal. And you know what? It can be lower, it can be higher.
Right.
But that's what I know. I know how to do that. We did it in 18 months. So when I tell people they can do it in 3 to 5 years, then they go, well, I guess if you did it in 18 months. And I mean, I always said I'm nothing special. Never had more than a C average all through school. Never even went to university. I was a single mom at age 16, had no choice, had limited choices, and just started going to work, getting a job, doing this, doing that, and eventually worked my way up to financial advisor, which I thought would be the absolute top for me.
Sure.
And then when I was able to take it over to the real estate, that's when I really felt like I hit my strong point, because people used to ask, well, why would I deal with you rather than someone else?
Yeah.
What's your unique ability? That sort of thing. And I would say, nothing. I'm not any better than anyone else when it comes to mutual funds and all that kind of stuff. But this I am. I've got some really good things going on, and I'm able to show other people how to do the same thing.
Well, I think you're really downplaying like what you've been able to achieve. I think being in a tough situation, and by achieving I mean before you even got into real estate. And I think that sometimes we have these situations that happen. They kind of hold us back a little bit. But what was the time frame? How young were you when you became a certified financial planner?
I became a certified financial planner when I was, I always have to think, because
yes, bust out that calculator, baby.
I know I have to. It's 2017, right?
Yes.
And I became a certified financial planner in 1999, so 18 years ago, and I left I still consider myself a financial advisor, but I do it with real estate.
Right.
But I actually gave up my certified financial planner designation 4 years ago, just because all their credits had nothing to do with real estate, and I didn't want to study all that kind of stuff anymore. Yeah. And I just felt it held me back. I got it. It worked well for when I needed it, but it was we did it by correspondence sort of thing. Like there was no classes to go to, so it was all self-study, and then we go down to the university and write the exam. So it took me 3 years to write it. It was like 6, almost like semesters to do it. And when I was done, I just really realized that, I really did know my stuff. I knew it. I was working in the industry as I was studying, but at the time it felt like, having that designation just meant so much, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it does for me. I was telling you that, I was going back to school because I wanted to finish what I started. And I felt so silly when I realized how close I was to finishing, literally less than 2 full-time semesters, and, I'm done. I'm doing, so I've got full-time this semester, part-time next semester, and I'm done. That, to me, I was just like, ugh. But, so how young were you when you got that certified, what is it,
certified
CFP?
Financial planner designation?
Yeah.
I would have been 40.
Wow.
So I wasn't that young. I was a bit of a slow start. Like I said, I had a child when I was 16.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. So, I'm 34, right? And then and people say like, oh, how can you just decide to like make that change in your life? And it's like, well, I don't know, you just do. It's like you either do or you don't. And so what was that moment for you? Like for me, it was that so many opportunities for me to get school paid for just kept showing up, and I was just like, there's a reason that all these opportunities, something's, the universe is saying you need to go back to school. I don't know why. I don't, like you, I don't feel like you need a degree to succeed in life. It's proven over and over and over and over and over again. But what was that moment for you where you were just like, okay, this is it. I'm 37, 36, 37. It's time for me to do something different. And you went and you got your, certified financial planner designation, CFP. What was that moment for you?
Well, you know what? I was tired of living in lack and not having enough money. I started working when I was 14, and I got a feel for earning money. And so I've never, ever been without a job. But I always wanted more money. And people would say to me, what do you expect? You're a single mom. You didn't get to go to university. Like, just, you're probably not going to get a lot more than you already have. I was working at a doctor's office and like, why can't you just be happy with that? And I wasn't. I wanted more money. I didn't want to learn to live within my means. That was something that everybody kept saying, you gotta learn to live within your means. And I went, no, I want to learn how to be wealthy. That's what I want to learn. So I started studying it, and you know what? And I am, and I love that feeling. It's such a feeling of freedom, and I can do whatever I want. I never feel the pressure that I have to pull in $1 because my sandwiches are paid for, my day-to-day stuff's paid for. And what I found is that financial freedom allows me to be and concentrate more on being and doing exactly what I love to do. So then your life gets easier, your life gets even better, and you can provide a lot more value to the world because you're not having to worry about getting those dollars in the door to cover groceries and rent and your house payment and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So the whole concept of financial freedom, I was chasing that for a long time, and I love it. I love being financially free.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities, flexibility. There's a lot less problems to have when the only problem you have is writing a check, right?
Well, do you know Dean Graziosi?
Yeah,
have you heard of him?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I follow Dean. I love his stuff because he's a real estate entrepreneur, and he's had challenges. I think he was dyslexic. He lived in, he's got a great story.
Yeah.
And one of the things he says is people always say, oh, money doesn't buy happiness. Money doesn't buy happiness. There's that either or thing. And he says, but you know what money does buy? If you got a problem and you can write a check to fix it, you no longer have a problem.
Right.
And that is huge. That's huge.
Yeah, 100%. It's and there's a lot. I believe in cumulative stress, right? And some stress is healthy, right? We need, like, when we work out, when we put that kind of stress on our body, then we adapt and we're stronger. But too much stress, and psychological stress, emotional stress, pent up through, financial hardship, is heavy. And over time, how long are you going to be able to hold that up? We get tired, you want to put that weight down, and, man, what a great feeling. So, and I also think that you kind of have like, maybe it's just you're humble, which is another virtue that somebody might want to write down. But, you got your designation, and then you also got, an assistant who probably had the same kind of drive and work ethic that you had. It's probably why you resonate with her. But but she didn't become a financial planner. And why was she the assistant and not the financial planner?
She studied for the financial planning, but she couldn't pass the exam. And when I started, I think it was just easier. There wasn't as many people studying to be a certified financial planner. And when she was going through it, and because she's just as smart as I am, there's no doubt, but I do believe they were making the test harder because there was so many people going through it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then she realized that, she was already doing what she liked to do. She wasn't officially giving advice, and she always had me to back her up on anything she did say, and she loved the other side of it, so she just decided to stay in that role. At age 40, I actually had two more daughters. I got married and had two more daughters. And when those daughters came along, she ran my business while I stayed home with them. And I would work from the office maybe 1 or 2 days a week. I never did go back to the financial planning office more than 3 days a week after my second and third daughters were born.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince my wife that she's going to fall victim to the same thing that you did, which is really just you just liked being at home, right? You liked being and taking care of the kids and home life.
Well, and if your wife is thinking that that's not going to happen to her, she should talk to my husband, because I was the woman who said, you know what? You're going to stay home with the kids. I'm going to work. I like the idea of having more kids, but I really like my work. I'm going back to work 6 weeks after they're born. Or, first of all, we just planned one, and then we enjoyed it so much we had the second. But at the beginning, that was the plan. I'm going back to work in 6 weeks. You're going to be the dad staying at home. I make good money, make really good money, like what I do. And then, of course, as soon as she came along, I fell in love, and it was like, I want 6 more for one thing.
Sure.
At 40, you can't have 6 more.
No.
But I really enjoyed it, and they're 13 and 15 now, and they're just an amazing part of our lives. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's I'm hoping that happens. I really love to work. I know that she does too, and she's a teacher, and so I'm just like, it's going to be fine if you just stay home. It's going to be fine. Yeah. So I'm hoping that she falls in love with the home life too, and we can just do our thing. So you're Canadian, you're from Canada. Is there, I really like your approach for purchasing property in, where you also call home. What's your motivations behind that?
It started out being that there was really good things happening in our province. That was one of the reasons why we wanted to go full time, because in between 2002 and 2007, we'd bought a newer house in 2002, and at the time it was a stretch for us. But that house grew almost doubled in 5 years, and so we were able to pull some equity out of that house. So that was why we started in Saskatchewan, which is where I'm from. But, we always thought, we're going to go to the U.S. and we're going to go to bigger centers, Calgary, Edmonton, where all the people are. Our city's like under 300,000.
Okay.
And we always thought we'd move to a bigger center, U.S. And we studied. We went there. We went to Phoenix, Arizona. We went to Florida. We went to Fort Lauderdale. We went all throughout the states, and we looked at the different business models and stuff. And you know what? We couldn't get better numbers than we were getting at home.
Wow.
So, and then after about the first 3 years of traveling all over the country, looking at all this, and when we started, our girls were 3 and 5, and sometimes we'd take them with us, sometimes we wouldn't, and we just really decided we didn't want that lifestyle. We wanted to do everything closer to home, and so we did. So our very first condos that we bought were actually 8 blocks from where we live. We still own those condos today. We're out on an acreage now, but we still own those 2 condos today.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So, is that tough now with your teenage daughters, and you working at home and having teenage daughters? Like, what's that like? Is that awesome for you? It's a totally different perspective than my own. I try to envision myself as a father, but I think that's a totally different perspective as a mom.
Well, I had a lot of difficulty with my first daughter being a 16-year-old mom. And, I wasn't a good mom. I was 16. How could I be a good mom? I didn't
Right.
even know what that was. And I was single. I wanted to be young and I wanted to do fun stuff. And she was a burden, all that stuff.
Yeah.
My second two, um, I was older. I was financially established. Like I lived in subsidized housing, had subsidized daycare when I had
Sure.
her. So it was always a money stress and doing stuff for her, with her. I couldn't give her the programs. My girls can be in every program imaginable. I get to drive them to school in the morning, pick them up after school, because there's no bus service where we live.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. And they are the most amazing kids too. I'm very laid back. I wasn't laid back when I was a young mom and I was, stressed and everything drove me crazy. And I thought she was driving me crazy. Now I realize that was just my own perception on that. But at the time, that's what I was like, this damn kid's driving me crazy. And now I realize that, you make those kids what they are. And my girls are just fabulous. I did a 3-day event just recently, just to give you an idea. They wanted to skip school and come. So they did. And my
That's
youngest,
awesome.
who just turned 13, she asked me if she could do her speech on stage. She just did a speech at school, which won second place in her grade.
What?
Yeah, on optimism.
Nice.
And you know what? It fit in perfectly with my stage because I had a whole day on mindset.
Okay.
And so she got up and did her 5-minute speech and everybody was so impressed. And then at the back of the room, because we had a charity there, we were raising money for a charity.
Sure.
My other daughter, 15-year-old, she says, Mom, can I make bracelets and sell them? It's one of the hobbies that she has.
Yeah.
Out of all the things that we had going on at the event, she made the most money for the charity. She did, from selling her bracelets. Now, it could be because she's the kid in the room.
Sure.
But she sold a whole bunch of bracelets and then donated. She kept a little bit, of course, for her efforts and for her product.
Absolutely.
But she donated a good portion to the charity. And so everybody was so impressed with them, and my heart just pounds with pride because I'm just so blessed. They're awesome kids.
Yeah, well, a couple things. So my mom was a young mom too. She was like you, in her 30s when her firstborn graduated from high school, and she was one of the relaxed moms too. I think that you made it there, but if I didn't want to go to school, my mom was like, "Oh, there's something wrong." So she was really cool. Like, she didn't force us to eat anything. She never forced us to go to school. That was all voluntary. And I think her approach towards life, I mean, she is my best friend. Her and my wife are my best friends. And, I see a lot of similarities there, but the other similarity I see is you said you had a 3-day event and you had 33% of it, probably with a lot of passover or spillover into the other two, but 33% of your 3-day event was on mindset. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. Well, I've learned for myself, it's something I'm constantly working on because I used to also be a very negative person, and people who know me now can't even imagine, but I beat myself up about everything, and I, swore a lot, and I just everything. And, now I teach mindset all the time. So when I can wrap it around what I teach in real estate, it makes it so powerful. And so we decided we're going to make a full day on mindset because I think it's 90% of a person's success, because if you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
Sure.
And that's where it starts. And then we just build on it from there. And I think no matter where you are in life, if you want to go to the next level, it's a mindset shift every single time. And I've learned that, and that's something else I want to share with people, because real estate's not an easy business. And if the first time something goes wrong, you're going to roll over, well, guess what? You're going to lose your money and you're going to lose your investors' money. So you got to be tough. You got to suck it up, and you got to get out there and work, even on the days when you don't want to. And you have to have the mindset to do that.
1 million zillion trillion percent. So I think I used to be so negative. There was a point in my life when I was so down. I was like, man, if I get, I was not making smart decisions, and I thought, if I get arrested for this, and I go to jail, and I get evicted, at least I won't have to like figure out how like I'm going to eat something.
Yeah.
At least I get 3 hots in a cot.
Yeah.
So what was that turning point for you when you realized like, oh man, like, I need to, because there's a shift, right? Like personal development is ongoing. It is dynamic. It never stops. There is an ongoing thing. There's something that, gosh, I've been doing now for less than a year, and it's so cleansing. It's so helpful for me. And I'll probably say it wrong. Ho'oponopono, but where you just like cleanse these limiting beliefs, and you wash away this crap, this shit that you're stepping in, and so you can start running in your life. And it sounds like there was a lot that was preventing you from running. I know that you were a mom, young mom and all that other stuff, but, can you talk a little bit about like where you were at and what was going on? Because I think that other people hearing, my struggles, your struggles will help them get through their struggles. So, what was that like when you realized, fuck, something's got to change?
It was when I was working at a job, and I really liked this job. I was making the most money I'd ever made in my life. Before I was 30, I barely made more than minimum wage. Really liked the job. My boss was amazing with me, and I was struggling. And you know what? Now that I look back, it was such a small debt. It was like, it takes me nothing to write a check for that now.
Right.
I had a $2,000 credit card debt, and I was behind, and I was getting calls at my work. Yeah. And I was so embarrassed because really, I absolutely hate. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to be that person.
Right.
And I was that person. And I just drew the line in the sand, and I said, never frickin' again is that going to happen to me. I am done being poor. What the hell do I need to do to learn how to make money? And it was shortly after that. And sometimes I think of the power of questions. I always tell people, don't tell me, don't say, hey, I can't afford that. You say to me, how can I afford that? Right. Don't tell me you can't do something. You say, how can I do that? I tell my kids that all the time. Don't you say you can't. You say, how? And I'd ask myself that, how can I change this? And shortly after that, I answered an ad in the paper because I knew I couldn't give up my full-time job. And there was a guy in the paper, and because I was looking for something, I was dissatisfied, and he kept placing the same ad, looking for someone to help me with my financial planning business. And I thought, you know what? This guy's not getting what he's looking for. I wonder if he'd be open to hiring somebody part-time. And I phoned him, and here it was a multi-level marketing, financial planning firm.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to see the light. And when they shared this video, which is a classic network marketing tactic, right? And I got this feeling in my stomach that for once, I could do that, and I could do something better, and I could start making money. Yeah. And that was how I started getting into financial advice. And that was really, really where I started making money. I went from, at that job I mentioned where that happened, making $43,000 a year, to my first full-time year in financial services at $67,000, my second year at $187,000, and have never made less than that since.
Wow.
And my turning point was $100,000. I always knew if I could hit $100,000 that I'd be set, and I could figure everything else out from there. This year I'm working on the $1 million a year net, just to show you the difference in where my mindset has went.
Wow. That is huge. And, so 2 years into that, you hit that $100,000 mark, and now you're going, rocking, rolling, and continuing to climb. That is absolutely fantastic. What are some like basic things that, if I'm hearing you say that, Edna, and I'm imagining that, man, if I had $100,000, it'd be on. Man, if I had $60,000, it would be great. If I had $250,000, that would be great. I believe that advanced things in your life come when you've mastered the basics.
Yes.
And when we forget about the basics that open up the doors for the advanced stuff, we can often, or we forget about the basics and we stop doing them, and advanced things slow down. What are some of the basics that you would recommend for mindset?
The absolute basic thing that a person has to do every day. And, I've struggled with this. Sometimes I do it for a week here and a week there. And then I get so busy that I don't have time to do it anymore. But there's something now that I've incorporated into a daily routine that nothing stops me from doing that. And that is practicing gratitude. Mm-hmm. Every single day. I get up, I set my alarm for 6, and not because I have to, I don't, but I want to get up and I want to just sit there and think of all the things I'm grateful for. And that's one of the biggest basics. And then the others is just watching what you think about. This is just an example, but our minimum to invest with us for people who are putting their money with us is $100,000, and it's been like that for 5 years. Like, we just don't take anything under than that. Well, I'm working on a project right now where the minimum is $500,000, and it's a $6 million project. I asked one person for $6 million, and it was like, nailed it. I wouldn't have did that 5 years ago.
Right.
I wouldn't even have asked. And now it's just like, hey, you want to get the deal done? This is what we need.
Wow. So you did a great job of explaining how gratitude is like interest. And there's this breaking point where, compounding gratitude just starts expediting your results so much faster and faster and faster. And it's so counterintuitive, or not counterintuitive. It's so complex because, when we make time for things like gratitude, I can't, and by the way, yes, gratitude has been very powerful in my life. If you're not practicing gratitude, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, because you're going to be upset when you're going to be both upset and excited when you realize, like, hey, if I start doing gratitude, it's going to open things up for me. And 2 months in of you practicing 15 minutes of gratitude every day, and all of a sudden the hugest deal of your life comes by. That's not a coincidence. But doing it for those 180 days makes the difference. It's not a coincidence. It's what makes the difference. So, but as you were saying, when we get so busy, we forget to do these things, these basic things. And there's a reason why pro baseball players do batting practice before every game. So, exactly. So walk us through what you expressing gratitude's like, so anybody who this is foreign to can understand what you mean by, expressing gratitude or practicing gratitude or, feeling gratitude.
Well, that one that you just said, Tanner, is a big thing. It's the feeling.
Right.
You got to get to the feeling. I used to write gratitude. I'm grateful for. I used to write that out because I was told that's what you got to do. But it's not that. You actually got to feel it. And when you can feel it, I think I read something with Abraham Hicks just recently, that it magnifies your success 100 times if you can practice gratitude for that 15 minutes and actually feel it. And I know that that's happening in my life. So one of the practices, and I just changed this up recently, actually, was to find 3 things new to be grateful for. Because we're always grateful for our health, that we're eating properly, that, we had fun with our friends, like our wonderful kids. Like, there's always things that are consistently we're grateful for, which is awesome, because my first study of gratitude to be able to get to that feeling was appreciating my kids, just that love. And then I would build on it from there. But being able to take that to the next level and now start looking for new things every single day, 3 new things, forces you to watch for more things to be grateful for. And then on top of that is to journal one experience in the day that was really, you got excited, like just close that big deal, something that just made you feel amazing. Journal that once a day, and you get to experience it all over again and put you in that state of that feeling of, oh my gosh, look what's happening in my life. Like, this is just amazing. The feeling is so huge. And I didn't get that. Even a few years ago, I knew it. I tried to practice it in and out of being busy, but 71 days in a row this year, in a row. And my life even now is exponential growth.
Mm-hmm. Growth mindset. And thank you so much for explaining that. Yeah. The feeling, you're doing it right. Like I always say, you're doing it right when you literally find yourself smiling. Like, because if you're really grateful about the good things that are happening to you, you can't help but smile. It's one of these innate things that we do as humans, that when we're feeling good, when we're feeling happy, when we're really grateful for a situation, you're probably going to be smiling. And you get that feeling in your head, you get that feeling in your gut when those images come across your mind. If you're comfortable enough, you can always say those things too. Say them out loud. Oh, I'm so grateful for my wife. And then, I would visualize her and then, feel really good that, I'm so lucky. That's awesome. Now, because you have this expedited growth, I have a problem with this, YBS. Why would I BS this? But I have this problem with goals and a lot, like these more long-term goals. I feel really powerful, confident in these short-term goals because it's like, short-term goal. It's like, I just do this, and execute. But when it comes to these long-term goals, I have a really hard time of nailing down the vision that I see for myself. Like I would love to do this one day. I would love to do that one day. But, those are just dreams. How do you approach your long-term goals when you're exceeding and succeeding so much between now and then?
That's a really good question. And, I actually run a program called 90 Days to 5K. And the first module, it's a 12-week program. The first module is all about your vision, because I think for most people, your pain pushes you for a long time. And for me, that pain was, I didn't want to be poor. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to have money. I wanted to have freedom. I didn't want people telling me what to do. So for a long time, my pain pushed me, but now my vision's pulling me. And when that vision gets there, and you really have to figure out your value. One of the mentors I had just recently, he said, and I still have this on a sticky note right in front of my face, value equals money. So whenever I'm thinking I'm feeling low, I'm feeling like I need more money, I don't ask myself anymore, how can I get more money? I ask myself, how can I provide more value? And that is a real key too. So I'm providing a lot more value than I was even 5 years ago. Like we were doing good. We were smoking it. We were making real estate. We were doing this, but now I can exponential, because I'm helping other people do what we did. I'm teaching people to then teach other people to do what we did. And so that's where that whole value play comes in, and you can expand on that.
Beautiful. Is that a good place for someone like who needs to get started? Like they just know, hey, I'm supposed to do something else. Like if all right, so I'm going to start practicing gratitude. I'm going to start waking up early so that I can, have some time to do that and make space for making progress towards something. But I just don't know what something is. Would 90 Days to 5K help you figure out direction, or is that specifically for real estate?
It's that one is specifically for real estate. In even to be more specific, it's teaching people how to use other people's money to buy real estate. So it's really a niche. But if a person is looking at any part in your life, the long term vision, just start building what's going to make you happy. And you know what? I tell people even in my course, like your vision today and the vision you're going to be in 12 weeks is going to be different. So just know that going in, because right now when you're starting, you don't even know what's possible. Yeah. You might think, well, yeah, I want to make $5,000 a month. And that's just a pie in the sky dream that I could be making $5,000 a month in passive income. But you know what? That's my vision. That's what I want to make. And then it evolves and they start describing, because I don't let them get away with just telling me how much money you want to make. You describe your life, what you want your life to look like, because the thing that a lot of people need to do too is think about what you want your life to be, because you don't want to build a life that you hate.
Yes.
So you gotta think about it now. Who's somebody I know that's living a life that I want to live? And the other shortcut for me has been hiring those people as coaches. Because if they're already doing what you want to do, they're going to be able to help you. And they have a coaching program, of course, because not everybody's interested in helping others. But if they have a coaching program to teach you what they've already done, those things there short circuit your learning curve. You get so much done so much quicker than trying to figure it out all by yourself.
Yeah. And you're not just like throwing up this advice, like you heed it yourself. How long, I know this, but how long have you had a coach now?
The very first coach I got was in 1999 when I became a financial advisor. The reason I got one is I was invited to a top producer conference. We'd been bought out by a larger company. They wanted the smaller, I was considered a small producer because there was guys in the room making $1 million a year. I was making about 250,000, 300. And they put us at tables with those guys. And then at one part of the conference, they said, how many people here work with a coach? And I looked around and all the top producers were working with a coach. And I went out, and they told us which one, because there was one specific one that was working in the financial services industry at the time. I went out and hired him the next day because I went, there's something that works here. And I've never been without a coach since. I always have one.
Yeah, I love that you say without a coach, and bringing that contextually back to what you said previously is that, you know, whatever it is that you want to expedite your learning curve and get the advice from someone who's done it successfully and is teaching it, that you've had multiple coaches. So what are some of the areas, you know, that you've had coaching in?
Mindset, real estate. The one I'm working with right now is mindset and scaling my business, because I've got a really good business, but I want to scale it.
Yeah.
And I've been working with her since December. You would not even recognize my business from where it was in December to where it is now. It's changed that much.
Wow.
3 months. And you know what? I've had one 1 hour personal session with that lady. That's it. But I've been to 2 mastermind sessions, 2 days each. I have a different coach that works with me one-on-one half-hour call, but she's got online programs, everything like I'm mimicking, doing a lot of the same stuff. And I attend them. And what I learn, I implement. So that's one. And then a recent one, the last 3 years prior to that, I worked with a guy who taught me all about getting online and doing videos, and now and how you can become like a center of influence by having people just by doing videos, education videos all the time. And that was a huge growth curve for me, and very difficult at the beginning to talk into my phone and just talk. Now I can get on Facebook Live and I talk for half an hour and I go, oh gosh, that felt like 5 minutes. So financial planning, real estate, mindset, online, scaling your business, you know, coaching in so many different areas. And I'm imagining that
not only are you exceeding in all those areas, but that has given you great points of reference and frame of reference for your coaching business and, the programs that you have, including, 90 days to 5K, which is 90 days to 5, the number 5K, 90 days to 5K.com.
.ca.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Yep. Of course you're right. It's your website. I hope you're right. Thank you, Edna. 90 days 90 days to 5K.ca.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, and we'll also have that, that direct link on the show notes page, of course, as well. And, Edna, if you could share with us, that one thing that you were BSing yourself on previously, why BS that part of your life? Do you mind sharing what that was with us? The takeaway that you would want the audience to have on why not to BS yourself.
Probably the biggest BS I was BSing myself is that what I do every single day doesn't matter. It's what I do in general, but it's wrong. What I do every single day matters. Every single day. And that's probably the biggest thing for me. It's not, I'll practice gratitude once or twice a week or when I have time or, and I'll contact my clients, when I get around to it. No, there's systems, there's a plan. Every day I get up, I have big action. I actually meet with an accountability buddy every morning at 7 a.m. This is brand new.
Wow.
Started it last quarter or in March after I was at my last mastermind with this group. Every morning, 7 a.m. we get on, we say our 3 things we're most grateful for, what we're working on today, and what we got done yesterday that was on our list. And that's it's a new incorporation, but another one. It absolutely matters what you do every single day. Eating, working out, studying, the people you hang around with every day makes a difference.
Every single day. I love it. That's no BS, right? Every single day is what really, really matters. I could not agree with you more, especially someone who can gain weight like it's going out of style if I'm not on top of what I'm eating. So that really resonates with me. And if real estate really resonates with you, get on over to 90 days to 5K.ca. Edna Keep, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, Tanner. I really enjoyed our conversation today.
You remember when you were a kid and that one person you looked up to gave you a compliment? The best compliment you can give me right now is by sharing this. I look up to you, and it would mean the world to me if you would share this right now.